Welcome to your Artsy Girl podcast. I am your host, Christina Carrere. This is a podcast about art, poetry, writing, and anything about creativity. Sit back, relax, and get your dose of brain food to get your creative juices flowing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 27. Today's featured guest is Briana Muñoz. She is a writer from San Diego, California, now living in Los Angeles. Her poetry and short stories have been published in 4 editions of the Bravura Literary Journal. In the 2016 publication of the Bravura, she was awarded the second place fiction prize. She has been published in BLOGA, an online publication, the Poet's Responding page, and in the Oakland Arts Review. Her poem Rebirth was featured in the Reproductive Health edition of the Sucia zine, a publication dedicated to exposing what it is to be a mujer. Briana's work was one of the 10 chosen for the Best of La BLOGA from 2015. One of her prouder writing accomplishments is being able to have been part of the 2017 U.S. delegation attending the International Poetry Festival of Havana. In March of 2019, she presented her poetry at the 21st International Spanish Literature and Studies Conference in Quito, Ecuador. Briana is excited to continue sharing her poetry in print and in spoken form. When she isn't typing away, she enjoys traveling, live music, cats, and thrift stores. Everyone, please welcome my next featured guest, Briana Muñoz. Hi, Briana. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Christina. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. I'm honored you wanted to be on your Artsy Girl podcast, but before we talk about your literary work, I would like to get to know you a little more. Can you tell us where you were born and where you grew up?
Yeah, so I am a San Diego native, California. I grew up, I've actually lived there my entire life up until January of this year. I made a move to LA, so I'm still not far. Yeah.
Wait. So you're really new to LA right now?
I am. Yeah.
How are you liking it?
It's been great, and I've actually the literary community over here. Everyone's been like very welcoming. I've made some really awesome connections, and I had my poetry book launch at a venue over here in Highland Park, and so it's been really great.
Well, that's good. It's always great to have a vibrant literary and art community. So who were your earlier influences then?
Well, as a Hispanic woman, I really, of course, like Sandra Cisneros. Mm-hmm. I was introduced to that, to her writing in school. And then another writer that I really related to, I think, was Michelle Serros.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was thinking about this recently and how I think I was maybe like in middle school when I went on a field trip to one of her book readings, and I found my signed copy of her Chicana Falsa poetry collection. Yeah.
How did you get into writing?
I have, I get this question a lot, and mm-hmm. It's really, I think my first memory writing poetry was probably around age 10. Mm-hmm. I remember being stuck at my mom's work, and I had, my childhood friend there, and she was giving me topics to write poems on. So now thinking back, we were kind of doing writing prompt exercises. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I've been writing since I was 10 years old, probably.
Mm-hmm. And did you get any other schooling than that, or just, because some people get their MFA, some people don't.
Right. Yeah. So I don't really have the formal background or training, but I did, in community college, take some creative writing classes, and I think around age like 20, I started, consistently writing and pursuing publication.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, because I remember when I started off and I didn't know anything about publishing, reading poetry, though my selection was limited because I didn't know really what was out there. It wasn't until I went to community college myself and took my first creative writing class. It opened the whole world up to me. I said, oh my goodness. Yeah. And I fell in love with poetry then. But my question is, how did you find out about, publishing opportunities? Were you like hanging out with writer friends?
Yeah. So I realized the poetry community is like pretty small now that I'm in it. But so my mom, she noticed that I was starting to like actively write, and I think she gifted me a book for my birthday around that time. Sonia Gutierrez, she's a poet from San Diego, and coincidentally, they went to school together, like, in high school. So she told Sonia about my interest in writing and, that I was writing poetry, and Sonia offered to meet with me for, advice on publication. Oh. And then through her, she also runs with some other poets, a platform online called Poets Responding. So I was published on that. Sonia also invited me to my first poetry festival. She invited me to read. And then through her, I met some other poets, and, it all kind of circles back to,
Well, there you go. I mean, I didn't even have that until I started publishing, Your mom went to school with her.
Yeah. I've been really fortunate.
So tell me more about your current collection, and if you can, share a couple of poems with us today.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So I published my first full-length poetry collection. It's called Loose Lips, published by Prickly Pear Publishing. They are out of the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And it's poetry written on, everything from like romance to heartbreak, just day-to-day observations, mental illness. And then some people even say that my poetry kind of borders eroticism. So, it's kind of a little bit of everything, but.
Okay. Well, why did you entitle it Loose Lips then?
Yeah. So, I really, that term, I guess, came to mind, and it, to me, reflected something like, like word vomit or poetry written without shame. And so I just thought it was appropriate, I guess, for my first collection.
Okay.
So would you like me to read now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'll do, I was going to read one. Let's see here. Speaking of my mother, I wrote this poem, and I titled it For My Mother, A Life of the Party Woman.
Okay.
I am a wild woman, grenuda woman, shut your lips type of woman, dance on tabletops kind of woman. I am made from my grandmother's stubborn rib and my great-grandmother's had too much to drink liver. Made from the dirt on the faces of children at play and from the sweat of my father working underneath a summer sun. I am a wild woman, uncensored kind of woman, a you don't like me, you can leave sort of woman. Don't need your permission kind of woman. As a matter of fact, I make the rules type woman. I am a warrior doll woman, but a treat others with kindness woman. I am a loose-lipped woman, word vomit woman, hair flying wild with the wind woman, scares the men away woman, made from the hands that patty cake masa into tamales, made from hooves of horses, and my mother's souls dancing tap tap for the universe. I am a wild woman.
Wow, that's powerful. Wow. There you go. Women empowerment, definitely. Wow. Do you have another one?
I do.
Okay.
So, yeah, my book, it was a lot of the poetry in it was written last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a huge year of healing for me after I got out of a relationship. So it's so a lot of it is kind of on the same idea, but this kind of gives you an idea of that.
Okay.
This I titled Release It. I want to live in the bedroom tunes played for me on your guitar. I want to live in our highs and cancel our lows. I want to discard all of the words you calculate carefully to execute the lowest blow. I want to live in your hands, pinning mine down. I want to exist in the journal I gifted you, but have never been let into. I want to drown out the sound of you slut-shaming me. I want to erase all former lovers, letter by letter, until it's only your name left on the chalkboard. I want to hold the feeling, cradle it, release it, and know we made the right decision. I want to be reassured by you, not always, but every so often. I want to scribble it on the walls. I want to shout it. I want to live in those first few months. I want to position it, wedged between sunset and sundown. I want to be the hair tucked behind each other's ears. I want the manic, the empathetic, the I'm driving you to drink statements. I want you to believe that I am sick to my stomach, sorry. I want to erase every ounce of resentment. I want to be the first person you think to call when you need to be talked down from jumping. I want you more than I've ever longed for anything. I want to stop pretending that I'm okay and actually feel okay. And I want to release the breath I've been holding.
Yes. Yes, I can relate to that. Very much so. Okay. Well, thank you. And so you said you had a book launch already for it?
I did, yeah. This awesome space, art gallery in Highland Park called Avenue 50 Studio. Mm-hmm. We had the launch there late last month, yeah.
Good. So what are your current goals and projects now?
So definitely poetry book number 2. I think after publishing this first one, it's been such a really great learning process that I know exactly how I want my second book to go. And I'm also working on a collection of short stories. I kind of took a break from fiction, but I'm hopping back into it. So that's another thing I'm excited about. But we still have a little bit to go for those.
Right. Do you already know what the theme or the trope is going to be for the fiction?
Yeah, it was kind of it's based on on an idea of a really strange relationship I was part of. So just kind of branching from that, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I know how that goes. You get the idea, and then sometimes it deviates from that.
Oh yeah.
So I have a burning question, and that is, how in the world does one get to be a part of the U.S. delegation to somewhere cool like Havana as a writer?
Yeah. So I was Prickly Pear Publishing, the publisher of my poetry collection, that is ran by a really great poet named Odilia Galvan Rodriguez. She just published her collection right now too through Flower Song Books.
Okay.
Yeah. But
through Edward.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, back to my idea of the small community of poets.
Right.
So she put together the poetry delegation. And yeah, it was an incredible experience. I was surrounded by poets like Odilia. There was Kathy Arellano. She's a poet, Chicana poet from the Bay Area. Also, there are poets like Robert Hass, Jane Hirschfield, David St. John, which it's been really funny. I thrift used books, and I keep picking up poetry compilations, and I bring them home and I see David St. John inside of them. But yeah, it was really great. It was about.
So you actually got to meet him then, no?
Yeah. We read on the same panel, and all of that. So
it was like a literary festival in Havana then?
Mm-hmm. They have an annual poetry festival. So it was about 7 days of poetry, and we all got to read and met a bunch of really awesome Cuban poets as well.
Yeah,
so.
I bet. Yeah. That's exciting. So, because when we think about Havana, of course, we think about, being closed off. And so how did you feel that, and you said the exchange was pretty vibrant?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They were so welcoming, the poets there. And we got to explore a little bit, and it was a great experience.
What year was this? What year did you go?
2017.
Yeah, 2017. Right, because when Obama was on, he was starting to, have open, you were able to go and travel, but then it closed off again. So that's a good opportunity. Wow.
Yeah.
So any great insights from there that, okay, so what about this? How about, what is something that surprised you about Havana?
I guess I was very impressed by their appreciation for arts, I guess, just because I feel like here in the U.S., the arts aren't super, I guess, appreciated
right.
educationally. And, everyone's like, oh, I'm an art major, or I'm going to school for creative writing. And it's kind of almost like, why are you doing that? And in Havana, it was I just felt like it was the complete opposite. I remember I was at breakfast, seeing maybe a 2-year-old taking drum lessons.
Oh.
Yeah, they just, I saw a lot of performance and artwork, and music, and so that was great.
Wow, that is great. And it's interesting to go to another country and see how they value art in their society. And yeah, and you know, trying to do the compare and contrast with ours. You know, I guess we need some work, you know, to get that more into the mainstream, because it still isn't, right? It seems like we always have to be finding each other as artists in making that community, because it's like our safe space. And in this podcast, I'm sure it's mostly writers and writers and artists listening to this, because when you say art and literary, people who aren't into that, which is a majority, you don't, you know, get turned off and not interested.
Right.
But, you know, we have to make our own community. That's for sure. And I'm so glad that, you know, I found you and you reached out to me. You are someone that I'm now going to be like checking out and, you know, definitely check in your progress, and definitely, you know, see what you're up to.
Oh, yeah.
Where can people go to learn more about your work?
So I'm kind of like a modern day poet, where I use social media a lot. I use Instagram. My account is A Woman of Words. I don't have a website yet. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But my book's available on Amazon, of course. And you can also go to Prickly Pear Publishing for that as well.
Great. Definitely will. Definitely will. Well, Briana, it has been great talking to you and learning more about you and your work. And I wish you the very best of luck. And I'm sure we'll stay in touch, okay?
All right. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Well, everyone, that is it for now. Please tune in next week for my next featured guest. In the meantime, have a productive and creative week. Bye, Briana.
Bye.